Another problem that I think Esperanto had when it was developed as a universal language was the resistance of the English-speaking people, because they many people say the English are lazy. This is the reason why they don't learn another language. I think the reason is that there's no point. They're just rational. What's the point in learning any other language if you can go anywhere in the world and people would understand English? Well, so with Europanto you will have the same resistance of the Americans, the English, the Canadians, and
definitely you learn a language when there's a need.
When you really need it.
When it's important for you, for your life. Otherwise, why make the effort? So I understand the position of the English-speaking people. They do not need to learn a language because everybody speaks their own language. But is still their own language? Because so many foreign people now speak English that sometimes it happens English speakers, true English speakers, do not understand the international English other people speak. So we assist to a process here where English is becoming the Latin of modern times and becoming, yes, truly an international language, but transforming itself. You have an English spoken in the Far East, an English spoken in Europe, and a different English spoken in the USA. So English is not just the same language anymore. As for Europanto, I insist, Europanto is for the people who do not speak a foreign language. So you do not need to study it, you just improvise. You make yourself understood with gestures, with words, with imitation, and this is always the best way to communicate.
Well, Italians are very good at it. Is it true that you Italians, you can like order a meal in the restaurant to talk to your friend without opening your mouth, just with gestures?
Yes, more or less, yes. When we speak of Italian notions like spaghetti and vino rosso, then it's easier. It is more complicated if you have to develop a reasonment or some philosophical ideas with gesture. This wouldn't work.
Have you tried to speak to Russians in Europanto, or at least introduce them to this language?
Well, in these few days I've been in Moscow, I made a point trying to speak the little words of Russian I know and putting together words to make myself understood. Sometimes I noticed people were startled because they didn't understand what I was speaking, but they did understand what I meant. So I see room for Europanto here too. It would be a Russopanto here.
Well, the Russians actually are speaking Russopanto, because when I listen to the young people, just a small talk, half of the words are foreign already in Russian.
It is a process.
Yeah,
you take words from the modern world, from technology, from communication, from the internet. This is a process we are not used to see in our lifespan, but it is under our eyes now.
You were present at the Euro Readings Festival here in Moscow. You introduced a book, did you?
Yes, I presented my...
What was the book?
Well, I published 10 books, 10 novels. The one I presented here is a novel whose title is New Finnish Grammar. It is not a grammar, it's a novel, and it is the story of a man that loses his memory and his language. And he tries to understand who he is and what language he spoke before of this accident. The story is settled in the Second World War, partly in Italy and partly in Finland. Again, with my novels, in a more serious way, I try to develop this reasonment about languages that is my favorite subject. And with my second novel too, whose title is The Last of the Vostiaks, I develop an exploration of what happens to a man who is the only one left in the world speaking a language. This Vostiak comes from Russia, actually. He comes out from a gulag at the end of the Soviet era, and he discovers he is the only one left speaking this rare language, the Vostiak, and there is nobody one left to speak with. So what happens to a man whose world is disappeared because there are no more words to tell, to speak about it? These are the subjects, more or less.
Did you ever thought of writing a book, a novel in Europanto in this language?
I have.
That would have been a real provocation.
Well, I have. I wrote short stories in Europanto, published in France 10 years ago. Las Aventuras des Inspector Cabillot. Inspector Cabillot is the first European police inspector, and he has to learn Europanto because in this imaginary Europe I invented, Europanto is the official language. So he has to follow courses in Europanto, and he's very annoyed about that. But then,
did it work? The novel, did it work?
Well, it did, yes. It was not translated because you do not need to translate it, and it was it had quite a success, like some provocative and inventive idea.
Thank you very much for being with us. And just a reminder that my guest here in the studio today was Diego Marani, an Italian novelist and columnist who invented a new Europanto language. That's it for now from all of us here. We'll be back tomorrow with more first-hand comments on what's going on in and outside Russia. Until then, stay on RT and take care.